Hey guys, hey. So somebody else joined right now. And somebody else is joining. So we are exactly at time, and I see our speaker Moishe is here. I hope I said your name right. Let me make you co-host, and you should be able to unmute yourself now. Really quickly, some house rules. Please don't do any self-promotion. Please don't spam the chat, and please don't what was the other? Self-promotion, spam chat. Use abusive language, yeah. Or I will have to kick you out of the call. So without further ado, Moshe, I hope I'm saying your name right. You're able to unmute yourself, right?
Yeah, hey, how are you doing?
Good. Thank you very much. I'm glad you were able to make it. So yeah, I don't really have a lot of background from you so that I can give you a proper intro, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I got into marketing 7 years ago when I launched my first agency. I fell in love with cryptocurrency back in 2017. I was always a big technology enthusiast, and I went full on into blockchain in 2020 and pivoted my entire career into Web3. I'm very big into the blockchain and bullish on the future of it. I'm very into technology, and that's been my focus now. So I have a agency. We do creatives, development, marketing. That's my passion. I also have a podcast. I've done launched back on Twitter Spaces in August of 2021 when they first came out. Hosted a couple of thousand hours on there. Was doing 6 to 10 hour days, so I grinded that out. I try to stay at the forefront of all technology news. That's where I see myself long term, in the tech space. And I'm out here just trying to build tools and create a better future for the world with technology.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah, hopefully we can get a better future. I'm so eager to hear that. But yeah, you wanna? Well, yeah, I mean, this is your space. Well, I'm not quite sure what the topic is that you're going to be talking about. This is all a crypto audience. Some of them have been with us for a while. Some of them are new, and yeah, just take it away to wherever you want to, man.
Sure. So I wasn't sure on the exact format of how I want to do this. I'm open to do a Q&A as well. There's a lot of topics to cover, to go through. The current market right now in the world with the global economy being down a lot, we're in a particular space, after COVID, with the current the work ethic that people lost, the whole concept of quitting. I don't know how familiar people are with it, but it's basically it's a Gen Z created term to talk about people who just decide to do the bare minimum, don't have effort. They won't put in, any extra effort. They'll do as little work as possible, where they're still within the word of their contract, but they won't do anything extra. So that's a big. There's a poll recently now. Something like 22% of Americans classify themselves as doing that right now, which is not great. A lot of restaurants, a lot of businesses are just poorly understaffed at the moment. You have a lot of people who made a lot of money from crypto and tech stocks after the COVID era. We're in a very interesting, and then lost a lot with the current crypto stocks and NFT market. So there's a lot of interesting things that play right now in the world. There's a lot of topics we could get into. Very into AI as well, and anything on the technology spectrum. So if you have any specific questions, any topics you want to go into, I'd love to dive into it.
Sure. Well, I don't have a specific topic. This is usually like a day trading or just crypto related call, but maybe the audience does, since they are more into crypto than myself. Does anybody want to put something on the chat? Or this is a small audience, so if anybody wants to speak, you can go ahead. I am actually gonna change the settings so that everybody can unmute. So if anybody wants to say something, let's try to keep it in order, right? Like, anybody wants to share? nobody has any questions to give Moish. So how about you talk us about you take us through about how you started with crypto, maybe what is your position? Do you day trade? Do you hold? Do you take NFTs or altcoins, tokens? What's your background on that?
Sure. So I'm very into the blockchain, the future utilities, what that can do. The cryptocurrencies, very long-term holding on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Very into the, they're a firm 1 and 2, as well as I do hold some stable coins. So that would be a majority of my crypto portfolio. NFTs currently, there's probably less than a handful of NFTs that provide actual value beyond the community aspect, right? In the post-COVID era, so while people are still in quarantine, it made sense for those communities to arise. As human beings, we have a sense of belonging we require. So that's buying into that JPEG hype, and you had a community as a utility, those made sense. But in the current state of affairs, NFTs haven't shown to provide much value. My thing with any new technology is you have to justify the need for it. I'm sure a lot of people here have heard of this book, I Never Split the Difference. And, it talks about the chasm that exists between starting out, with any new adoption of technology. And, for a lot of NFT projects who, let's say, have merch, my question I always ask them is, why don't you just open up a Shopify account? Anything you're going to do with new technology, you have to justify the use. You're creating a new cryptocurrency, justify the use. So you have, Bitcoin, which is the store value coin, and you have Ethereum, which is the platform coin that everything's being built on top of it. You have all these apps being built on top of it. So that's the main thing there. I see some questions just popped in there. The political climate turning in after ETH merge is done. So after ETH merge is done, you're going to have a lot of companies who were previously unable to join in due to political, environmental affiliations, where due to the environmental impact of crypto, they weren't able to go in, which, honestly makes no sense to me, being that the environmental impact of, pick any other industry is way larger than what crypto did. It was majorly overplayed, which, this is a little bit of speculation, but I believe, and what makes sense to me, what I believe is that the entities that are scared of crypto and scared of Web3, scared of decentralization and their loss of power, have put a lot of money into bad media, bad PR towards crypto and all that, along with just the regular naysayers and the people who are late to adapt. So that's why I think you had such a delay on that, and why you had that bad press. While a lot of it did have proper, reason for it, there was a lot of it that also was unfounded and was just pure bias against it, because it does take away power from these major corporations, traditional finance places. You had that major attack on Luna. So you have a lot of things like that where you saw them, stretch their hands a little bit too far. So that's as far as ETH merger. I think that we will see a lot more institutional money start coming in from these major corporations, and that's just a great thing for the space. What was the question here? I'd like to understand what are the most prominent real-world uses of blockchain that have been deployed at a large scale and of clearation of the value proposition of blockchain. So what has been actually deployed as of now? There's a few things, but it's not really what has been deployed right now that makes me so excited. It's more the potential use cases for it. So I gave a speech at NFT NYC, this past one in June, and I put up a single slide and I just had NFT 2.0. And what I spoke about is, NFT 1.0. And when I use NFTs on blockchain, oftentimes I would use one instead of the other, just because the main use case of NFTs and blockchain are often interchangeable. So NFT 1.0, right, and the current state of blockchain, and these tokens and the cryptos, all of them, they're built on FOMO, the fear of missing out. There was scarcity and price appreciation. NFT 2.0, what I call it, is all about the utility, value, innovation, and storytelling. So as long as you have NFT providers and partners that are keeping the customer experience at the center of their strategies, that's where the bright future for the overall market is. Now, to do so, the concept of onboarding and how we're going to do this is very simple to me. It's, take Google Maps, for example, right? Most people don't know how the algorithms work, but they can follow the directions. They can get from point A to point B. So blockchain apps don't need to educate users about NFTs. They need to make it easy to use them. You're thinking Apple, simplicity, ease of use, right? Proof of ease of use, selling protocol I care about. Now, in terms of what these assets are that will be done by blockchain, there are honestly so many to get into. So you have these things called soul-bound NFTs. Soul-bound NFTs are not transferable. So you thinking about passports, licenses, medical records, right? Those are super cool to use soul-bound NFTs for. You also got which is, again, these are on the blockchain. You got real estate, gaming. There's so many cool aspects what you can do with blockchain. I don't think that we're even scratching the surface of what we can really do. Excuse me. One thing that's super cool to me about blockchain and decentralization is TOS. Now, TOS, terms of service, that you see on so many platforms. You have a digital library on, let's say, YouTube. You might not have any content on there, but you have your account. You have your algorithm of all your stored information. Take the same thing with your Spotify account or your Apple Music, any social media that you use. You can, quote unquote, violate their terms of service or not violate their terms of service, and they can just delete your account at any point that they want to. Right now, with NFTs on a public blockchain, they represent the possibility of ownership of digital property, independent of having an account with a store. Your identity can be kept anonymous. You can even resell, rent out, or lend your digital property. Now, the tech is being developed as I'm saying this, and like I mentioned before, I see a strong push in the media to cancel this technology, but just think about it and how it works for a little bit. It can make digital property behave more like physical property, right? So let's talk about possible use cases. So we spoke about soul-bound NFTs. So those are going to be your driver's licenses, diplomas, certifications, proof of attendance, proof of previous employment. Those are all super cool to be on the blockchain. We all know how much people can easily lie on LinkedIn or resumes. Having that on the blockchain is super cool. Retail. Now, brands can use NFTs to incentivize IRL transactions, leveraging creators to drive traffic to storefronts. Let's give an example. Let's do Yeezy NFTs that airdrop with a purchase from Gap stores, or you have an NFT that unlocks exclusive features for Tesla vehicles. Right. So there's a lot of cool things to do with the retails. You also got rewards. Brands can draw unique quests, or they call them in crypto, they're called bounties within communities, rewarding completion with NFTs. So this could be anything from completing a questionnaire to referring members into the community, attending events. Affiliate marketing use cases with blockchain is massive. In the legal realm, you have real estate, proof of ownership. Royalties are all good use cases for NFTs here. I mean, talk about the deed to your house. If you own a house and someone asks you, to prove that you own it, how would you really prove it? Your idea is you would have to get your deed, but where's your deed registered to? So that's down at the DMV. Now, not the DMV, but that would be for your car, another government agency. So you have each, item in the centralized location of the government. They're the one people who have access to it. And it's a bad system versus on the blockchain. If you could just take out your phone and say, this is my account, this is my ownership, and you could prove it that easily, it just makes everything so much easier. There's a lot of people doing great work with that. I have a client out in Europe who's working on it with Portugal, to do with Portugal real estate. They have the golden visa there also for your crypto. You should look into that if you're interested in crypto. There's a lot of cool things to do with real estate and legal. There is also content submission is huge, right? So you can have users who will submit content like short form videos, right? That's your TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, reviews and tutorials in exchange for NFTs. It's a marketing flywheel. Rights can be programmed into contracts so that the use of the contributor's content in advertising could yield their future profits. You got to realize that NFTs are a smart contract, and the current profile picture that you see is cover art on a contract. The blockchain is this digital decentralized ledger that is housing these smart contracts. You can do so much with them. It's fully, possibilities are endless. It's, it's whatever your imagination could do. And these contracts are getting better and better. Innovation is getting better and better. It's really up to, what you can figure out. Something that's super cool getting into DeFi, right? I know a lot of you guys are more into the crypto side of this than the NFT side, even though they're, it's really the difference in a fungible and non-fungible token, which we can get into as well. Collateralization of digital assets is a huge topic. To date, lenders have been averse to NFT holders borrowing against their assets, due to the fluctuation in price. But as more institutional money comes in, right, like we're talking about post the merge, and assets become better stores of value. Think, stable Bitcoin, stable, I hate the word blue chip, but, the assets in the NFT assets that are referred to as blue chip, collateral markets will promise flexibility and liquidity for all NFT holders, not just whales, where you can have many assets that, currently you have very few assets that banks will give you a loan for. And also it takes time. And, you think about cash advance and they're ripping you off. But if you can get especially on a peer-to-peer marketplace, and if anyone's interested, I've done many talks on, NFT collateralization to get really into it for digital assets. But what you can do of instantaneous loans is amazing. That's a major use case for blockchain for digital assets. Especially when you combine that with gaming or movies, or, where you're getting royalties as well, but you could rent out your asset, or you own, let's say, a VFriends NFT or a Tikcetmaster. Just today announced they're doing a collaboration with the Flow blockchain, and you're going to be able to get tickets tied to NFTs. So that's going to be, Flow blockchain, if you haven't heard of them, they're a blockchain operated by the A16Z backed Dapper Labs, and they're making these NFTs available before, during, or after the event, and even enable special experiences like loyalty rewards or celebrity meet and greets, or simply offer memorabilia in NFC format. Now, this is being offered by Tikcetmaster, right? We all know Tikcetmaster, huge Web2 company. Flow blockchain, you probably know them for their fancy sports and gaming, like NBA Top Shot. They also have NFL All Day. They have a number of them. Now, Tikcetmaster initially partnered with the Ethereum-based blockchain Polygon last November to issue virtual ticket stubs to NFL fans for the rest of the season. They then switched over to Flow blockchain earlier this year to issue digital collectibles to over 70,000 Super Bowl ticket owners. Now, Tikcetmaster is also extending its partnership with NFL to this season, where it plans to issue NFTs to all attendees of 100 select games, now, including at least 3 home games for all 32 teams. That's huge. The company has already minted over 5 million NFTs on Flow through various partners after its Super Bowl debut. You look at news like this, it's massive, right? That's a massive innovation for blockchain, right? So we spoke about collateralization, ticketing. There's also fractionalization of splitting up NFTs into individual shares, giving people more exposure to assets such as a piece of a CryptoPunk. Now, what is the result of that? You have more liquidity for holders and more appreciation of these high ticket assets as money enters the market, right? You also got R&D. Brands and creators will exchange NFTs for insights on product development, pain points, marketing claims, roadmap, and more. The NFTs will unlock early access to product releases and potential profit sharing. Brands will track and maintain these key relationships. Now, for music, for short-term video content on the blockchain, those are massive points that are huge. Now, a problem with a lot of these things to fully implement with the full vision that I and many share is that currently, to do that on chain, you only have, a small amount of storage you can use. However, with quantum computing, which, it's a big topic to dive into if you're interested, in very short, we can make the storage twice as large by, instead of using the common binary system of zeros and ones, in quantum computing, you could have a single digit represent either 1 or 2 at the same time. So that will just make the space twice as large, along with other things that it'll bring. It's a very short way of saying it, but there's a lot of new things that will be unlocked by that, such as music. Music on the blockchain is something huge for me. That imagine you take and this goes as well for video production, anything like that, where you could have a small sample of it. So let's say that's a little clip, or for music, it's a single guitar loop that you put on. And as every person, passes it on to the next, they remix it. Every person is getting immortalized on the blockchain, as well as getting their royalties set up on the blockchain. And it's super cool. This is happening on chain, as well as previous ownership of assets is all shown. So that, this major celebrity owned this and now you own it, right? So super cool stuff. That's more things are going to be unlocked as the technology improves. Another major thing for the blockchain is education and customer support. I imagine a future where every single textbook is going to be a NFT. Upon demonstrating exceptional knowledge of a brand's product, users can receive NFTs in exchange for onboarding newbies into the community or providing support. This can be exponentially more impactful than a brand employee doing the same, right? But you're able to get rewarded for it. In Web 2, think about Facebook, for example, all the early users who adapted to it, they didn't get rewarded. Think about SaaS-based services, SaaS-based companies like Slack, for example, right? Now, the way Slack got so big and the way they got their funding was because every person who got onboarded into it was encouraged to invite more people, because the app worked better the more people you had on it. And that works well for any social platform. Where, again, the more friends you have on it, the more people supporting you, the better it's going to be for you. So those platforms, you didn't get rewarded for it. Forget about affiliate marketing. Just having the fact that you did that is not recorded. You also didn't get money for it. Even affiliate marketing today doesn't work to the same degree as you'd like. People are making a living off of it, but it can be done so much better, along with better ownership. I was hosting a Twitter space. This was back. It had to have been September, October last year sometime. And I had about 250 people in the room. And I had a buddy who was working over at ENS. And he told me that there's an airdrop coming along soon. And I participated in other airdrops. And I told that room of, something like 250, 350 people. And I said, it costs you $25 to get ENS. ENSs are very useful in general. And I heard a rumor that there might be a little airdrop coming soon. Now, that airdrop for the people who spent like 25, 30 bucks was worth about $8,000. And I had people messaging me that they just got 5-figure payouts, mid 5-figure payouts, even people who, got a bunch of them who spent, let's say, 200 bucks. You could have made 50K off that. If my math's wrong, don't kill me on that. But you spent a little bit of money. You got a massive payout. That was just because, thank you for believing in our product. We're huge now, right? And we just want to give back. That was something that happens in the NFT space, that happens with blockchain technology, that happens in this new era of, people adjusting. And NFTs are revolutionizing digital ownership today as keys to digital communities, tradable game assets, ownership of your username and assets in the metaverse. Anyone who does gaming, think about these metaverses all exist already. You're not getting access to it. You have tons of digital assets that you use. You're not getting rewarded for it. And, for people who are going to ask the question of why should I care? Maybe don't, but you will one day, and the assets, you go back to the internet, you go back to any time, adoption happens. It's super important to get yourself set up early on. We're currently, the way I'll describe it is, for anyone who's alive back then and remembers this, pre-Windows 95 in MS-DOS. Where they're trying a lot of clunky interfaces. I don't know if anyone here remembers this. I wasn't born at the time, but I've researched this all. Windows released a operating system where it was like you're walking around a room, and instead of like a computer interface the way we have now, if you click on icons, it was like there's a bedroom, and you click on like my computer to access my computer, and you click on different things in the bedroom. I forgot the name of it, but it was such a terrible UI. And you have a lot of these because they go through iterations. We're so early still, and it's overused, but it's not untrue. We are still super, super early. And this is something that's, you know, very important to know. In regards to the merge also, I'm a little all over the place right now. OpenSea said that their marketplace won't support forked NFTs post-merge. So again, like understanding what it means for the merge, what a proof of stake blockchain is versus proof of work, you know, and understanding the differences between them, the pros and cons. Those are all research that you should do that will make you ahead of major people, or ahead of majority of people. There, you know, just being aware of the news and doing small searches, you will, and just spend 2 hours a day for a month, right? Take out weekends. You're looking at you know, one day a weekend. You're looking at about 50 hours, right? 25 days in a month. Do yourself 2 hours of research a night. 50 hours into it, you will be so much better off for the future. And let's be real, as busy as people want to claim they are, we all spend time watching Netflix, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is that you're scrolling, whatever feed it is that you're on. If you just swap that out for consuming educational content that will make you money and provide for your, you know, generational wealth, it is well worth your time. And you have to think about it as like this. If you like reading content, then read content. If you like listening to content, you got audios, podcasts, Twitter Spaces are cool. If you like watching content, you got YouTube videos, you got if you have a shorter attention span, you got yourself your reels, your shorts, your TikToks, whatever medium you like to consume content in, consume it like that, right? It's just super important to educate yourself now. It's so important. David, yeah, Bank of America UI just like that. That makes perfect sense, right? You had all these platforms. They didn't know what they're doing. And still look at it today. Bank of America, TD Bank, they all have terrible, clunky apps that just don't work well. You look at Zelle, the limitations on Zelle in the US to transfer money it's ridiculous. In crypto, I could pay my employees in seconds across the world and move massive amounts of money. No one's even tracking it also, right? If you wanted to do that. There's ways to get around that. That's Tornado Cash, a whole nother topic. It's, you know, it's called a washing machine. You send your money into a contract, and that contract pays out somebody else, and no one ever finds out, you know, where the money goes to, where the money came from. It's there's a lot of different places that do that. It's a whole other topic, but you know, there's a lot of super cool features in crypto, in DeFi that you can do, along with also you know, a lot of scams and a lot of confusion. So you got to, you know, realize something very simply. If it seems too good to be true, and most likely is, there's a lot of Ponzi schemes, and as well as you have a lot of crypto tokens that don't make any sense. A lot of NFTs don't make any sense. Just view basic business fundamentals. Click on a project's website. Don't, you know, just learn up what best practices are. Get yourself a ledger, right? Learn the difference between cold storage, hot storage, you know, what it means to have a paper wallet, offline, online wallets. There's so many different things to familiarize yourself with, and it sounds overwhelming. It probably is very overwhelming to a lot of people to understand what that's like at first, but you got to just educate yourself and then ask questions. My DMs are always open, and my email is always open. You can reach out across any social media. It's this name, Moishemedia. I'm, you know, if you educate yourself, you have a question, I'll answer you. And I don't make a course. I don't sell any courses. I don't have any product to sell anyone. It's just, if you educate yourself and you have a desire to learn, I have no problem answering questions. But to your friends who are going to ask you questions, to your friends who you want to ask questions to, like, be just respectful enough. I mean, for me in my IRL life, you know, I'm the NFT kid, right? I'm the NFT guy. I'm the crypto dude. Like, you have all those labels around you based on things that I've done. You're the podcaster. It's like, you want to learn how to start a podcast? I could send you a link, but you could also Google that yourself to learn how to do things. Simple enough. You know, you want to do something well, or you want to do something. You want to launch, for example, a SaaS-based company, right? This is just basic life things. If you want to build a SaaS-based company, you should be able to put yourself a proof of concept up within a week. And that means putting up your landing page, as well as utilizing no code sites to build your app, build your concept, whatever it is. And you could put together a pitch deck using all free resources. All it is time. In life, you have that exchange of time for money. And if you're not trading your money, you're trading your time. You're not trading your time, you're trading your money. In the 9 to 5, you're having your time work for your money. And when you're able to, you have your money work for more money and you get your time back, right? Because time is the most valuable asset. From the day you're born, you have a countdown clock till you die. And, as morbid as that sounds, it should also drive you to be better, do better, work smarter, not harder. I recently had a conversation with a friend about the concept of, putting in a lot of effort. And his stance was, as long as you put in a lot of effort, you will be successful. And I disagree because, think about a coal miner. A guy can put in way more work than a guy who's writing software. And that guy works for 2 hours a day, 3 times a week, and could be making, a multiple 6-figure salary, a year, because that guy acquired a high value skill and is monetizing it. So you have to be able to figure out where to put your efforts and put your efforts in there strong. Currently, I would recommend to anyone and everyone who can, which is everyone, to go ahead and get yourself involved in this next level of technology. Get involved in Web3, the future of the internet. You look back at all the companies that didn't adopt. You're talking about your AOLs, your Yahoos. You have tons of these companies that just didn't move the right way. I mean, Facebook, which is a massive company, they fucked up really badly. I apologize if I'm not sure if you're able to swear on here, but they messed up really badly on the hardware side. They lost that hardware war really badly, and it hurt them for a long time. So a lot of companies that just didn't pivot properly. Now that's as a major company, and a big problem with companies in general as they get bigger is they get that whole corporate structure and they're very slow moving. I think that in the future, we're going to move to a new meta where it will be a company doesn't need to be around, established in 1927. You see a lot of, brands like this were established back in whatever, and they have their whole long story. I think there will be a future where it's like, we were a 3-year-old company. We were around for 3 years. We came in to fix a certain problem. We solved that problem. We made a shitload of money. And here we are in the future, right? And now we're moving on to the next company. We sold it, we dissolved it, whatever it was. You're moving on to the next thing. I don't think you need to do that. And as people now, you can pivot. In the tech world, it is very common for people to change jobs every 9 months, because that's the quickest way to get a salary increase oftentimes, right? We started this conversation. I spoke a little bit about quiet quitting. It's that same concept, right? You don't want to have employees like that. You want to benefit them. And that's a big thing about Web3. A big problem right now in Web3 and the blockchain and new technologies is that nobody here is really proven. You have a lot of celebrities who come in who make a lot of their projects that usually flop because they don't understand the space well enough. It's just, again, I heard about a concept. It sounds like a cool way to make money. It's, if you're raising money with NFTs, then use GoFundMe, use Indiegogo, use Kickstarter, right? Justify your use case of the new technology in order to be embraced properly. There's currently a major stigma that makes people want to stay away from celebrity endorsed projects, whether they are good or bad. They just have that stink about them right now. And a big problem right now with the Web3 space is that you currently have all the neophiliacs, the people who crave the new, right? That's, neophiliacs, a word I recently used. It's I recently heard of. It's cool. You got the early adopters, right? That's the we spoke about, never split the difference, of crossing the chasm. So you have all these early adopters who are there now, and for them, they have a certain mindset. And with a product that you're building is designed for them to get bigger and bigger. But like we said with a corporate company, right, that startup that then becomes a corporate company, at a certain point, when it gets a certain amount of certain large, they're making a certain amount of money, their offices, their staff members, a certain point, they get too big, and everything that they usually stood for starts to change a lot and adapt. And from all their distinctness, they become general. Because to scale up, whenever you want to scale any brand, you lose a lot of what made you who you are. And a lot of your earlier fans will often be like, I used to like this guy, but then he changed. I used to like this company, then they changed. In the Android world, I don't know how many of you are familiar with OnePlus, but OnePlus is a phone brand that I used to love. I endorsed it. Anyone who asked me, I want a new phone, it's a non-iPhone, and you don't want to buy the most expensive Samsung phone of the year, then OnePlus was the brand to go. OnePlus was the flagship killer. That was what their whole advertising was. They were quick. Everything was great. Their cameras were not up to par with Samsung or Apple. In the Android world, they weren't up to par, but they made great phones at half the price. And, the OnePlus, they're currently up to, I think it's the 10 right now, or the 9 or the 10. But back to the 3T, which is, again, 7 generations of phones ago, that was such an amazing phone. I had the 3T, the 5T, the 6T. Now, I wouldn't recommend them because they went commercial. When they got big, they signed their deal with T-Mobile. Everything that stood out about them, their prices are also now aligned with Samsung. Everything about the brand that I loved so much, they went mainstream. They got too big. They became corporate. They no longer, adjusted things so quickly. Their betas, came out slower. Updates come out slower. That happens when you become that big. And as people, it is super important to do reality checks with yourself and mindfulness and just be aware that the world is changing and you want to be able to pivot properly. You want your company to be able to pivot. You want your personal brand to be able to pivot. Building up a personal brand today means that you can rise above that, right? I'm an agency owner. I combined 3 different areas that I was very into, right? So you have creatives. As a marketing guy, creatives are super important, go hand in hand. So I built up a creative team. I have my marketing agency, and me being a huge tech nerd, the development side, I have a basic knowledge of coding. It was like, okay, so I also see a lot of problems with a lot of these development teams. So I built my own development team. I combined those 3 areas. So you have development agency, creative agency, marketing agency under one flag, right? And that's my company. Now that company is designed for what use case? I looked at NFTs, I looked in the marketplace, I look at what's going on, and I said, there's a gold rush going on. So what is my opportunity to capitalize on this? I'm not going to go dig for gold myself. I'm going to sell shovels, and I'm going to sell food and drinks alongside and sandwiches, and I'll sell all the accessories that one might need while digging for gold. And that's all the power tools as well. So that's what we did. Now, if that no longer is the use case, if that no longer is a spot people are digging in, right? If for whatever reason, that's something that will no longer be relevant, my personal brand is what's going to go beyond it, right? So that's public speaking gigs, podcasting, networking, my LinkedIn that I started building recently, my Twitter that I started building and amassing a following. Doing Twitter Spaces, which again was a brand new feature. I created a brand new account. I used to sell a course 0 to 10K in 90 days. And in 5.5 weeks, I made it to 10K. Using Twitter Spaces alone. I was barely tweeting. It was just Twitter Spaces because it was a new thing that was going on and I capitalized on it. There is always something new. TikTok right now is starting to die down. The how quick you can go viral, but there's always the next TikTok. There's always the next technology. And there's always that next big thing. People say, if I used to say this, if I was around back in 2005 when social media launched, if I was alive back, and when I say alive, I mean, if I was where I am now, like if I had the positioning I had then to be able to do that, then what I could have done. But the truth is there's always that happening, right? You have the 2008, you have what's currently going on right now in, the real estate is going to crash soon. All stocks right now are on sale. Crypto is on sale. I bought back into Ethereum at $1,000. It was 1,000, 1,100, something like that. 2 weeks later, it goes up to 1,600. And my money shot up like that because you put money into it. You have those opportunities. Those opportunities are happening all the time. And, again, if it sounds too good to be true, that's, about all the scams happening, all the phishing links that are going on. Again, you got to be super cautious with this because while there are people who are looking to capitalize on it in a good way by creating tools and helping people, there are people who are malicious. Something really interesting. I'm building currently a SaaS-based company around Twitter Spaces, LinkedIn Audio. There's all these live audio platforms that I believe in as the next meta. You had a Twitch that was huge. You have all these major streaming things that are huge. And I think that live audio is a massive boost. You have as well as clips of live audio, right? Because people want to get that short form content, right? That's why TikToks and YouTube Reels, and those are YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels. They're blowing up right now. People have a very short attention span, so if you can capitalize on that and build products around that, it's like, okay, I'm a Twitter Space consumer. I'm a Twitter Space host. I'm a LinkedIn audio host. I'm a LinkedIn audio consumer. What products are missing? What can I build around there? What tools would help me? And build a proof of concept, send it out to a couple of friends, people who are in there, consumers and hosts. You want to, test your product, whether it makes sense, not just surround yourself with yes men, have people who challenge how you think, right? You send it out to people, and then it's like, okay, this is cool. Now let me see if I can put together a proper pitch deck, approach investors, get that money, build that product, and get it to market as quickly as possible, right? So when you're able to do that in a positive way, you can succeed in all fields of life. You can do this in all sectors, as opposed to you have a lot of people who are just grifters, and it's like, Discords, how can I get a quick scam? And, a lot of people, they're going to make that money, and you might even be jealous of them because they made even let's say they make $5 million doing this. Oftentimes it's a lot less. Let's say they make $5 million doing it, whether it's something like insider trading, which is more white collar, and you've probably heard about a lot of DOJ indictments over things like this, or it's straight up that grifting, the scam links, hacking people's Twitter accounts, hacking Discord accounts, social engineering to get people to click links, taking out ads for fake websites where you change a single character. Again, any site that you're visiting, that you're connecting your digital assets to, your digital cryptocurrency, you want to bookmark those sites and use them. Again, you want to make your own list of best practices. Those are, it's super important to get that down. But there are people who are going to take advantage of this. Now, in the long run, though, they're going to be hurt. And unlike in traditional finance, where go back, we spoke about 2008, you have banks and all those financial institutions that really mess up. Also the .com era, right? They get bailed out by the government. The government takes care of them. They're all good, and they continue to do it. The banks that you're using now probably had a major screw up in 2008. Most of them did. Now, no one, people are still using them. There's no problem. You take a guy like Kwon. If you're familiar with him, he's the guy who created Luna. That was the major thing. I personally lost a ton of money on that. That guy, it can't show his face anywhere because people have sent him death threats, and people will straight up want to really hurt him. And he's hiding out. He made a ton of money, but he's hiding out now in some country that has non-extradition treaties with the U.S. And he walks around with security, and his life is miserable right now. To be honest and to have integrity and to make money is very possible, and it's something that people need to do more of, and it needs to be spoken about more. You can do this. This technology is out there. The ability to capitalize on this is out there. It's yours for the taking. It's just about whether you're going to get up and do it, or you're going to watch it happen like people watch the internet happen, like people watched everything else happen. And it's experimenting with it. You will most likely fail a bunch of times with what you're going to start off. It was interesting. Corvette launched a NFT that didn't get a single bid on it, right? Again, if you want to learn about that, you can research it. Very interesting just to watch, just as a title of that happened. Twitter recently banned a couple of huge NFT accounts, and they brought them back after a threat from the Solana Foundation, which is a big blockchain, that threatened to pause ad spend. Right, it's really funny when you watch these things happen. Major people being thrown off of platforms. Right, you have the Milo Yiannopoulos. You have Trump recently, Andrew Tate. You have Alex from Infowars, Alex Jones. You have a lot of bigger people who just got deplatformed, and it wasn't like a single platform removed them at once. It's you're having Facebook. Right, Meta, so Facebook and Instagram, as well as Twitter, kicking somebody off at the same time. And then with you got to the conservative social media apps like Parler, AWS was kicking them off of their servers. So you have like major attacks happening by huge companies, and a decentralized, whatever side you stand on politically, the lack of control that you have should be very scary. The full control that these companies have, the Holy Roman Empire pales in comparison to a tenth of the power of Google, right? And these were world powers at one point. They're more powerful than most governments and many governments combined. With this, happening right now in the world, what Web3, decentralization, decentralized finance, what these things allow you to do is get control back. I had a lot of artist friends in Ukraine, right? Coders, people who I met through Web3 world. And during the whole war with Russia, they were unable to access their bank accounts. They were unable to access ATMs. So if they were able to find a smuggler who will transport them across the border, and they have to pay a ton of money in cash to get that done, they couldn't even access their funds. But a lot of them who had crypto were able to access their crypto in another country and then take out money like that, which was huge. They were able to do that. There are still a lot of problems with the internet itself being accessed through centralized access, meaning I don't know if anyone here is from Canada, but in Canada there was recently, a few months ago, Rogers went out, which is like one of the biggest providers. I think it accounts for about at least half of the cellular and also Wi-Fi in Canada. And when they had an outage, other people who were also not on Rogers but piggyback onto the network didn't have internet access for something like 36 hours, which is crazy, right? So cyber attacks, you won't have access to your digital assets, and that's very scary. So you always that's a big problem, and that's I think a lot of that's going to be solved again through technology of satellite internet. That's a lot of what Elon Musk is building with his satellites that he has right now in the sky, which circumvents that. Again, any opportunity that you can have to get more control over your life, I believe you should pursue. And whether that's your sleep schedule, meditation, finance, health, everything that you do, you want to get control of your life. There is most things in your life you can't control. And the things you can't control, you need to stop putting effort into. But anything that you can control, you should put your complete effort, prioritize it, and gain control, gain a sense of reality through it, a sense of being able to have a tangible grasp on your money, your health, your life. It's funny. You get your money, your deposit comes in. A number on your bank account goes up, and then you take your piece of plastic or metal rectangle, you go to the grocery store, and you walk out with a whole bunch of food because you tap your rectangular piece of plastic or metal against it. And now at the end of the month, you just subtract some digits off of that account in your bank account you see on your phone. It seems like such a joke. It doesn't seem real at some points, especially when you make a lot of money quickly or when you lose a lot of money quickly. It doesn't even seem real. It's like wild to imagine. And we live in such a crazy, fast-paced world, and the whole grind set that people talk about. You don't need to have that life. You have to. It's about what you want to choose to do. I devote my life to a number of things. I have my hierarchy of importance to me, and on there I happen to be a workaholic, but that's for a lot of things more than just my actual work. It's other things that I'm doing, hobbies that I have, of things to get your control over whatever you can, and figure out what you want to do. If you don't want to make money, like you don't want to make real money, and you're content to never be able to fully retire in a great sense, then you can make that choice, and you can choose to have more time that way, and choose not to invest because you don't want to deal with it. Choose not to learn how to manage your time and money more efficiently. You could choose to do that, but just whatever you do, the one thing you should do is be honest with yourself and be conscious, be mindful, and make a conscious decision to do so. And it's the same as for any negative feeling. Even like, let's say you want to be angry, just be mindful of it, that you're choosing to be angry right now, right? I think it was Buddha who wrote that anger is like a hot coal. that you hold around until you choose to throw it at someone, right? And like, if you want to do that, you want to hold on to that hot coal, that's fine, but just be aware of it. Right? That's the one thing if I leave off is be mindful of whatever it is that you are doing in your life, and live your life deterministically. Be passionate about whatever it is that you do or don't do, for good or for bad, for right or for left. Just have a sense of what you're doing, and the meditation and the mindfulness people talk about, it doesn't mean that you sit for a half hour, half naked in a robe, sitting out in the woods, humming to yourself. It's as simple as, in your everyday activities, just taking time to be aware, and over time will become second nature to you, where it's like, oh, this thought just went by. Just to give you a little story, it was like, I wanted to get a haircut one day, and my barber wasn't available. Another barber I wanted to go to wasn't available. It wasn't, it was very frustrating for me. I was going to an event the next day, and I wanted to look good. And I'm walking through a shopping center then, picking some stuff up, and I see a woman with like a haircut that was really, like very spiked up. Dude, my first thought in my head was like, it looked like you got electrocuted, right? I didn't say anything, obviously. I walked by, but like in my mind, I smirked. I had like a very negative thought, and it was like 20 minutes later, and I was like, why did I have that negative thought? And I was like, okay, I was upset about me not being able to get my haircut. I see somebody else, and in a way, I like justified my own hair by like projecting that onto that woman, bringing her down to bring me up, and just being aware of that, and being aware of that now. It's like, that's something that in my head I will be less likely to do so again in the future. That's evaluating. And the more that you self-evaluate and self-reflect and commit to do better in the moment, instead of that happening 20 minutes later, if that would have happened in the moment, that would be another step, or 5 minutes later. Every step you can get closer is better. And then to the point where your whole mindset changes, where instead of reacting to life, in between an action and a reaction, there's a tiny little moment. And by reflecting on your life, you could expand that moment, so to speak, and make better decisions in those microseconds of change your habits, change what you do, and your whole life will be better as a result. And that's with financial decisions, impulse buying, any sort of habit you want to do. Reflect, be mindful, and you will live a good life that way. It's just be mindful. It's the biggest blessing anyone can have.
Wow, that's so much.
Yeah, it's just kind of went with it, and that's And if you have any questions, I'd love to take them.
Well, that is your crypto update for all of you. This was a lot. You literally took the whole scenario. That was so much information. I'm glad I was here to hear all this. Does anybody else has a question that we can ask right now, that we can, anybody came up with anything, was thinking while we were going through all of this crypto update? I think nobody has any further questions. I mean, I know you've answered a whole bunch of them. Oh, let's see. Did I miss anything of the first half today? I mean, you missed a bunch of stuff, but we always update this onto the tailopez.com website, so you can look at the replays.
Oh, someone just asked, who's the guy that left the U.S.? That was a guy named Kwon, but there's many of people who have committed, crimes, major crimes, that were like the DOJ, the FBI are looking for people, and they've fled to non-extradition companies. So that's non-extradition countries, and it's amazing that as people will talk bad about crypto for all the scams that go on, but in the traditional finance world, banks literally do this in broad daylight, and they get bailed out by the government, and nobody bats an eyelid. So Kwon is someone who, everyone will remember. It's a very well known, his atrocities, as well as you go through a lot of celebrities who were paid major amounts of money to talk good about, promote a project that's clearly a scam, a lot of times with knowledge of it beforehand. But regardless whether they had prior knowledge is the problem, those are things to be happy about, that in the DeFi space, people are branded for life, and whatever money they made, they don't really get to enjoy because they're constantly looking over their shoulder. Thank you, David. Thank you, Siren. What is your view on making a DeFi exchange? DeFi exchanges are cool. I'm not sure. It's a very general question. Not sure what exactly you mean by that. I think that DeFi exchanges are very much needed. Most of them have problems with them. Why people don't use them? There's a lot of trading fees. The big thing, like I said, about proof of ease of use and simplicity and thinking Apple is for mass adoption, and for this to really take off, they are going to need to be omni-chain. I'm a omni-chain maxi. Interoperability across chains needs to happen. It's way too complex for your average consumer, and you shouldn't, anything that requires so much education in order to get into the way it currently is, and won't be for the average consumer. But if you're listening right now, and you want to learn, then you won't be the average consumer. You're going to be a newcomer, an early adapter. And if you capitalize in the moment, you will profit wildly beyond your dreams. And not just financially, but just from being ahead of people. Are Lucidity pools still a thing in the down market? Yeah, there are. I mean, recently there was a big thing with forgot the name of them. Something DAO, Ben DAO. It was called Ben DAO. There was a whole bunch of apes that almost got liquidated. So yeah, they're definitely a thing, but people are definitely more hesitant to give money towards them. They'll give a lot lower TLV ratios, but there is also something that's, there's different types, right? There's peer-to-peer, there's renting, there is versus a fund that's going to lend it out. There's all different types of liquidity pools to look into.
Well, I don't mean to cut you out, but I think we're coming close to the hour here, and I also don't want to take more of your time. So why don't we just take one last question, and then we can just say bye.
Sure, yeah. I got a call in 2 minutes. What are your thoughts on QI network blockchain and trying to fix interoperability? So there's a number of, I haven't looked into them particularly. I've heard their name before, but most of these that are doing them, they have solutions that aren't ideal. They're not ideal yet. They'll work across some chains. They don't really fix the real problems, which are simplifying this. A super simple UI UX. Think about how easy it is to cash out somebody, how easy it is to Venmo somebody. And when you make crypto payments that easy, but with all the features of blockchain that we love, that's when you have that problem fixed. Currently, even with the fixes that they're doing, they're solving very specific issues, and there are major workarounds rather than better written code and better execution.
Okay, well, I hope you guys got a great bunch of information out of this call. Thank you very much, Moishe. So I've already posted your handle in the chat. I will do that again right now. Well, in just a moment. I just want to thank you and thank everybody for showing up to this crypto call. And yeah, I mean, we will see all of you guys next week, and hopefully we can all follow Moishe. And if you have any questions, just please send him a message over his social media.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
No worries. You have a great rest of your day, and hopefully a great rest of your crypto journey.